Namaskar and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sattology Debunking Mythology. Sattology means science of truth or study of truth, and opposite of that is mythology, which means science or study of fake, lie, or imagination. So, in this series, we are going to continue to discuss the misconceptions which are prevalent in about the Indian history or the Vedic history or ancient history of the world. Now, the source of the ancient history of the world is not Mesopotamia, is not Persia, is not Egypt. Those places are all places on the earth are very old because earth is itself very old. So the life existed on the entire planet. So you'll find ancient histories in Antarctica, roughly the same time it will all corroborate to, same time. Because the humanity developed on all parts of the earth at the same time. Some places it could not develop because of ice. Some places it was able to develop because there was no ice over there. But the whole world, the humanity developed simultaneously. The whole scientific theory of evolution is not correct because there is no proof or evidence found or logic found or common sense found. How is it possible that if people migrated from Africa to Europe, then Europeans should all be having a black skin color? Not possible. So therefore, humanity came everywhere simultaneously. There are more reasons to believe, because of Western Europe being covered in snow, that people migrated from upper parts of today's Russia, in Mahabharata it's called Uttar Kuru, to that part. And there are more reasons to believe that people from Parsik or Persia region, which is Armenia, Iran, Iraq, Azerbaijan, all these countries, moved towards the Western Europe. More reasons for that. But the culture, the flow has always been from India to the rest of the world. I have a very special guest today. He's done many shows with us. He's a eye surgeon, and so don't show him eye here, but later on, if you want to consult with him, you can always do that. So let us welcome Dr. M.L. Raja.
Namaskar, sir. Namaskar.
So, we had a wonderful debunking misconceptions in the last session, and we also read the shloka numbers on each parva, which are there, so people can look out on the first part of this series. So there are a lot of people who peddle lies, or lies is a very strong word. I'm sorry to use that, but misconceptions or propaganda of the Western Indologists who don't understand anything. Unless you're born in India, you are born in that culture. It's difficult to grasp the nitty-gritties or the respect, like the British did not understand. So how come these people, even though born in India, follow a Western Indologist point of view or read their research papers to confirm, validate themselves?
This all happened after British rule. See, British rule more time on Tamil Nadu state and Bengal. So if you see the present situation of Tamil Nadu, the more people will follow the Western thing in Tamil Nadu only. They didn't even, they are very shy to call themselves as the citizens of this nation. They want to know Dravida, Tamil. It is all because of the teachings of the British, who ruled more time Tamil Nadu than other parts of India. It is all because of that only. And because I heard that when in 1940-42, when German was able to invade many places, in Tamil Nadu, many people listened to German radio because whoever wins, they want to go with them. That is the mentality here. This total materialistic mentality and the benefits they got from Western world, mainly the benefits, and also they want to associate it with the winning side to get more materialistic benefits. Because of that only, they are, even though they in the inner heart they know that they are lying. Again, I want to apologize for using that way. Misconception for spreading. Uh, they are doing because of the many gains, many benefits they got from the Western people. Now it is slowly changing because Western world itself, the economy is going to already down. So the benefits reached in Tamil Nadu is a little bit less. So slowly the change happened. That is the benefits, mainly benefits, maintenance benefits, and also the slave mentality. Whatever, because these Western people, whatever they say, they will cover with the science uh, terminology. So they use to cover their misconceptions that it is a scientific basis study. So because of that new technology, new thing, so people are respecting that science. So they gave all the misconceptions in the blanket of science. So that is another reason. One is benefit and another is the scientific coverage of everything, what the misconceptions. That is the main thing. In Tamil Nadu especially, it is like that only. I don't know about other states in India, but in Tamil Nadu mainly, this is the two things that makes the people to follow the Western misconceptions more in Tamil Nadu.
It is true. More in Tamil Nadu, I have seen more Tamil people having this misconception of more than anyone else. And that's why most scholars from there, they also come out very strongly with these viewpoints. But the other states also have the similar problem. Not in that other states people are changing, but I don't see the change happening from Tamil Nadu much. But
the magnitude, the percentage overall Western oriented is more in Tamil Nadu than other states. And in other states, people are realizing now it is all wrong. So immediately they accept, they analyze and accept. In Tamil Nadu, people are less towards that. Even accepting the fact itself, even if you tell fact, they will argue only. They won't accept.
The same with the Bengal also. Bengal, the same problem, similar problem.
Why Bengal? Because it is also the second most ruled state by British.
Right.
After Tamil Nadu, Bengal is the second state which they rule more. You see, Tamil Nadu first, and after that Bengal. That is the problem. No. In other areas, British rule is very less, less than 100 years.
Very less, 90.
Tamil Nadu, 200 years.
Maximum 90. But nonetheless, the southern part of Kerala, Tamil Nadu is different. Because there the Marthanda Varma and other armies defeated the Dutch, the Portuguese, everybody else. So 1741. So the other parts of Tamil Nadu, the southern tips of Tamil Nadu.
Mainly concerned with Kanyakumari district only.
Yes.
In Tirunelveli district and all, it is part of Tamil Nadu, part of British rule only. That is Tiruvangur Maharaja. Because of that, Palasi Kerala Varma, that is Kochi Samastana, mainly Tiruvangur, Tiruvananthapuram Samastana. They somewhat resisted British rule. The British, that conspiracy didn't enter much in that area.
Much in the day. Mostly it's on the coastal areas, Madras Presidency based out of Chennai. Those areas and that coastal belt. But before Tamil, Kanyakumari, these misconceptions are highly there, very much there. So we can get started now and we'll continue our discussion right after the presentation.
Shall I start this?
Yes, please. Go ahead. Yes.
Vanakkam, Namaskar. My heartfelt greetings to one and all. I express my heartfelt thanks to Sri Aditya ji and also the volunteers of Sattology and also the professors, eminent scholars and students of various universities of United States of America. In the first part, I read about the misconceptions that are webbed around the date of Mahabharata and also the Mahabharata text itself. In this part, I am going to narrate about, after a brief introduction again about Mahabharata, about Surya Siddhanta, Aryabhata, date of Chandragupta Maurya, Aryan inversion theory, facts about Yavana, and the concoction that is Greek influence in India, and misconceptions that are webbed around inscriptions. How the inscriptions have more advantage in fixing the chronology. That I am going to deal in this session. First, in Mahabharata, little bit, which I omitted last time. Before going to Surya Siddhanta, I will narrate a few minutes about that. Some scholars there is an excess month after the start of Mahabharata war before Bhishma Mukti. Is it possible? That I have to analyze because I missed that in the last session. See, Sri Krishna and Udyoga Parva in this sloka mentioned that Saptamachapi Amavasya Divasat Bhavishyati Sankram Yujyatam Tasyam Tamahugu Sakara Devata. He specifically used that word Sakara Devata. So he explained to Karna that after 7 days, that is from Pushya Nakshatra, Amavasya is going to happen because from Paurnami to Amavasya only 13 days are there. And when it happens, that means it is happened in Jeshta Nakshatra. Sakara Devata means, Sakra means Indra. So Indra's Nakshatra, presiding deity of Jeshta is Indra, and Sakra itself means Jeshta Nakshatra. So he clearly mentioned that Amavasya happened in Jeshta Nakshatra. So Kartika Amavasya can happen in Visakha Nakshatra, Anuradha and Jeshta Nakshatra. That is Kartika Amavasya. But Sakra Amavasya, that is Jeshta Nakshatra Amavasya, will happen only in Jeshta Nakshatra. That we used to understand. And another thing is, there is a difference between Sauramana and Chandramana year computation was less than 30 days. Because why I am having still 13 days only means, in Virichika zodiac sign, there are 3 nakshatra. Virichika zodiac sign is from 210 degree to 240 degrees apart. In that Visakha Nakshatra, only 4th padam, 1/4 of the Visakha Nakshatra will be there, 210 to this degree. And Anuradha is up to 226 degree 40 minutes. After that, remaining 13 degree 20 minutes is Jeshta Nakshatra. So, when Jeshta Nakshatra Amavasya means, from Sauramana and Chandramana, only 13 degree, because almost every day Earth will, Sun will move only 1 degree. So, maximum 13 degrees only in 13 days. So, when Jeshta Nakshatra is there, the Sauramana and Chandramana year computation was less than 13 days only. Because if it is Amavasya at Jeshta Nakshatra means Sun is at Jeshta Nakshatra, Moon is at Jeshta Nakshatra. So from Sun 227 to it reached to 240 degree to cross this Virichika zodiac sign, it will take only 13 days. So there must be difference, but more than 29 to 30 days to get an excess month. Here only 13 days they are there. From Amavasya day to the start of next zodiac sign, Dhanush zodiac sign, only 13 days. If it is 235 degree, only 5 days are there. So this is the thing. So 13 days only there, less than 13 days. So zodiac sign is started by 240 degree, at which the next month starts. But from Amavasya, this month ends. So what is the difference between Sauramana and Chandramana calendar is, Chandramana calendar, either it starts, the month starts at after the end of Amavasya or after the end of Paurnami. After the end of Amavasya is known as Amanta month. After the end of Paurnami means Paurnamanta month. So always this Chandramana year is 254 years and all, because 29.5 degree, 5 days is the 1 month. 12 months is 354 days. But Sauramana year is 365 and 0.25 years. So there is a 11.25 years of lagging behind of the Chandramana year when you compare with Sauramana. So Sauramana advances by 11.25 years every year, 2 days. So that is the thing. So when this 11.25 will become 29 or 30 days per a month, that is 29.5 days per a month in 2.5 years. 11.25 into 2.5, you can say roughly 29.5. So it takes every 2.5 years to have one excess month in Chandramana calendar. In that year, Chandramana month will be 13 months. So that is the basic thing we have to understand. So even if when it occurs in Visakha Nakshatra only, the Chandramana year is lagging behind that month, lagging behind by more than 26 days. So within 2 or 3 months, the excess month will come. But if it is in Jyeshtha Nakshatra, at the maximum, the excess days will be 13 only. So it has to reach 29 to 30 days to have an Adhika Masa. So when Amavasya is Jyeshtha Nakshatra, in Amanta calculation, there cannot be any excess month between the Mahabharata date beginning and also the Bhishma Mukti. That is there. In Paurnamanta, Amavasya has to occur in Anuradha Nakshatra. Why Anuradha Nakshatra? Because from Paurnami to next Paurnami, if it is before 240°, there should be 29.5 days. Then only there will be excess month. So if it is from Paurnami to Paurnami 29.5 days, Amavasya will happen 15 days after that. So 15 days means from Visaga 210 to 225 only. So Amavasya, if it occurs in Anuradha Nakshatra in Paurnamanta calculation, then only there will be excess month. So both in Paurnamanta and in Amanta, there is no chance of excess month within 2 to 3 months of the beginning of the war, that is before Bhishma Mukti. That we have to understand. So if Amavasya occurred in Jyeshtha Nakshatra, there cannot be an excess month within 3 months. This can be verified if you analyze almanacs of any almanac of 50 years. And further, another thing is Bhishma told in Grishma Ritu, that is in Vanaparva, Duryodhana and Bhishma reached Virata Desha, and at the time Arjuna was exposed, and it is Duryodhana told it is a Grishma Ritu, hot summer season, he told. And in that, Bhishma told when Arjuna was exposed, he told that the calculation is completed, the year of Vanavasa and everything is completed, because there are 12 excess nights in Chandramana computation. Every 5 years, there are 2 months excess. So like that, if you calculate, there is no lagging behind of this Vanavasa period. That is the Bhishma told. So in Grishma Ritu, there are 12 excess nights in Chandramana computation. In Virata Parva, you can refer this sloka. So this is as per Paurnamanta calculation. Hence, after 5 to 6 months, the war has started in Kartika month or Margasirsa month. The excess days will be per month 1 day. Because in 30 months, there will be 30 days. 2.5 years, 1 excess month. 1 excess month has 30 days. So every month, approximately 1 day. So for 5 to 6 months, if we add 17 to 18 days only. Amavasya normally occurs on the 15th day from Paurnami. But in the previous fortnight of Mahabharata war, Amavasya occurred on the 13th day itself. You can refer Bhishma Parva. Bhishma, Vyasa himself told, Saptama Chapi, like that he told, Chaturdasim, Panchadasim. But here, Triyodasim, the Amavasya occurred. So in Amanta computation, the excess days will be 15 days after Paurnami only Amavasya occurs. So we have to here 13 days only. So you minus 13, only 5 days only. So Bhishma's statement corroborates and comprehends Sri Krishna's statement that Amavasya occurred in Jyeshtha Nakshatra. So here also Bhishma's statement and also Sri Krishna's statement told that Amavasya definitely occurred in Jyeshtha Nakshatra. So when it occurs in Jyeshtha Nakshatra, there cannot be any excess month within 2 to 3 months. That is from the day of Mahabharata war start to Bhishma Mukti. Either you can calculate in Paurnamanta or in Amanta. Amanta, it should be Amavasya, should be in Vishakha Nakshatra, 4th part, or in Paurnamanta, Anuradha Nakshatra. Here it is Jyeshtha Nakshatra, so there cannot be any excess month within 2 to 3 months. So if you compute the date of Mahabharata war, and if you add any excess month between the beginning of the Mahabharata war and Bhishma Mukti, it is definitely wrong, and that date cannot be accepted. That is the thing. Because only after a minimum of 24 months in Amanta calculation, or only a minimum of 11 months of Paurnamanta calculation, when Amavasya occurred in Jyeshtha Nakshatra, there will be excess month. Definitely not within 2 to 3 months as per the Mahabharata statement of Bhishma or Sri Krishna. That is, we got to understand. And there is another thing, there is a genetic study. Now, more people want to go to science. So, I have to discuss genetic study. But the major difficulties in genetic study are we have to collect 15 to 20% the sample size, and it should be equidistributed. That is not possible. Based on the age, sex, and also residence and the job, socioeconomic status, like that equidistribution should be there. That cannot be possible. So, genetic study by some scholars, they presumed that the Y chromosomal variation was much less than the variation of X chromosomes. And they assumed that the date will be 7,000 to 8,000 years, where male population may be decreased. And some other scholars saying it is 6,000 to 7,000 years before present. They assumed that because of this less variation of Y chromosomal, so there may be decrease in male population. That is their assumption. But the major causes of low variation of Y chromosome are, as per scientific studies, high variation in reproductive success. That is less number of male birth. It is not only decrease of male population, not only due to death, maybe number of birth also would have reduced. And non-random mating, population structure and migration, purifying, that is negative selection, and mutation bias. Like that, many causes for this low variation of Y chromosome. What the experts told, these experts, it is published in this journal, selection acting on new mutations and affecting linked nucleosides may cause this. And mutation rate, effective population size, demography, and selection, that is negative selection, everything, that may cause the Y chromosome variation, less variation. As per this study published in this by these great scholars, I thank them. And another thing is, this scholar mentioned in Science Alert, a drop in genetic diversity doesn't mean that there was necessarily a drop in population. So, genetic diversity doesn't mean reduced number of male population. And he told that women would have married into new clans while men stayed with their own clans during their entire lives. Within that clan, Y chromosomal variation is limited, and have difficulty in retaining ancestral diversity of Y chromosomes by males due to mechanisms that accelerate their genetic drift. These are all the causes by many scientists mentioned. But if you analyze, see, this itself is questioned by Neil Bohdala. Male Y chromosome extinction theory is challenged. It is occurred in BBC News. So, the natural selection affecting the Y chromosome and culturally driven sex-specific changes in variance of offspring number, all this causes less variation in Y chromosome. That is scientific study. But if you analyze this thing, whether it will be helpful to fix the Mahabharata date, it is definitely a big no. Because at the basic level itself, we can make it null and void. Because we have to understand, not all males will participate in any war. Even now, Ukraine, Russia war, not all Russian male are participating. Not all Ukraine male are participating. That in ancient India, only Kshatriyas, that is warriors alone participate. So, if you say that out of 100 people, male will be around 50. Out of 50 male, Kshatriyas will be, because Brahmana will be there, Kshatriya will be there, Vaishya will be there, Sudra will be there. So, Sudra will be more in number. So, Kshatriya will be only 10. Out of these 10 Kshatriyas, young children, older persons, and sick persons, and persons unfit, they cannot go to war. And the king cannot take a whole army with him. He has to retain certain part of army in his capital to maintain law and order, to protect people, wealth, and his country. That is the thing. So, out of 10 people, only 5 would have participated in the war. 5 males. Even if all 5 died in the Mahabharata war, then male-female ratio only will be 45 to 50. That is 0.9 to 1. That is the ratio. Definitely not at 1:16 or 17, 6 male, 94 female, or 1:4. That is 20 male or 80 female. Definitely not. That's why I am saying it is cannot be applied in fixing the date of Mahabharata. If you analyze basic level itself, we can understand. See, for another thing, agriculture farmer cannot go to war. Yes, he has no training on warfare and using of arms and ammunition. How can he suddenly go to war? A farmer. It can be applied to other jobs like weavers, pujaris, teachers, students, black and goldsmiths, mason, carpenters, fishermen, car transporters, businessmen, scavengers, manual workers. Like that, many job work will be there in the society. I'm not telling all the thing, but time consuming. So only Kshatriya will go. Out of that Kshatriya, only 50% at the maximum will go. So it is definitely, it can reduce from 50 to 45 only, not to 1:16 or 17 or 1:4. So that is definitely cannot be applied. And another thing is geological study. Whether, because there is submergence of Dwaraka city in the ocean just a few decades after Mahabharata. Will it helpful? Definitely it is. It will not also helpful. Because why? Geologists will give a range of thousands of years only. They say that it would have happened in first or second millennium, first to second millennium. Like that, only 1,000 years only range they will get. Thus, the possibility of Dwaraka submerging in 1 year out of this 100 will be 0.1% only. Because 1 millimeter of deposit denotes 1,000 years in geology. So, because another thing is, opinion differs between various geologists. For the same site, one geologist will mention it is first and second millennium, another geologist will mention second to third millennium. This is not due to the limitation of geologists, but due to the limitations of scientific study and analysis. So that also we have to consider that geology and genetics will not be helpful anyway in determining Mahabharata. So now another thing is, with that I will end with the Mahabharata. The most important misconception is, which I already we have dealt in the introductory part with Aditya ji, believing anything if they are covered and proclaimed as based on science. Whether it has scientific base and all, we won't analyze. Just on hearing the word science and it is based on science, we will accept. So any myth mimics Sat, falsely using science as a blanket cover. That is happening, frequently happening nowadays. Falsehood and total lies are usually proclaimed as a new surprising discovery and truth with a scientific false covering. That happened. So we are carried with that. We should be cautious on this. We already had a very bad experience. This for Aryan invasion theory, how they introduced in the minds of Indian people, because they covered it with the scientific coverage. They wrongly used, improperly used philology and scientific linguistic study. By using the term that it is science, they made us Indians to accept wrongly the Aryan invasion theory. The total unscientific, unjustifiable Aryan invasion theory were made to be accepted by people because they used the term science. So whenever there is science is used, we have to analyze whether it is really scientific basis or not. After that only we have to accept that cautious approach should be there. With that cautious thing, I go to Surya Siddhanta. Now Surya Siddhanta, the date. In the first adhyaya and the second sloka, it mentioned Alpa avashishte tu krite maya nama mahasuraha Ragashyam paramam punyam jishnasur jnanam uttamam. What is that? When little, that is alpa, is remaining, avasishte. In Krita Yoga, Krite, the great Asura, Maya Nama Mahasura, Maya, was desirous, Jisnasu, of knowing Jisnasu, the pure, sacred, holy, and exalted secret science. That is Ragasyam, Paramam, Punyam, Jnanam, Uttamam. Like that he mentioned. That is astronomy. He want to know astronomy from Surya Deva. So he did tapas at Surya Deva. So that is the thing. That was the second immediate. First line is praising the god. Second sloka itself mentioned the date of Mahabharata is Alpa Avasistete Krute. That is when only a little bit of years are remaining in Kirta Yuga. This Surya Siddhanta was narrated to Maya Asura. Not only that, in the first Adhyaya, 23rd, 46th, 47th, and 57th sloka, see Kritayukam, Yetam Kritayukam, this Kritayukam. Yatam Kritayukam Tvidam. That is just Kritayuga is completed. So it is going to complete within few years. And this is most important. Kritasya Ante. That is Kritayuga at the end of the Kritayuga. Kritasya. That is sixth vibhakti of Krita, Kritasya. Rama, Ramasya. Ante means end. That is the end part of Kritayuga. Asmin Kritayugasya Ante. Asmin is this Kritayuga. This Kritayuga and end of that Kritaka. Again, the sixth vibhakti. Kritayugasya Ante. So definitely the date of Surya Siddhanta is at the end of Krita Yuga only. See, I have to compare with this thing. Because I am a doctor, I know only the medical text, so I am giving example in that. Medicine, we are reading final year MBBS and also in postgraduate medicine. This is an important book, Davidson's Principle and Practice of Medicine. It was initially edited by the great writer and Dr. Davidson, physician. So first edition is 1952. The present edition is 24th edition. 70 years have already gone. In the same way, ophthalmology, this because I am an ophthalmologist, this is an important book to read, Parsons' Disease of the Eye. The first edition is 1907. Present edition, 23rd edition in 2019. So because medical field is advancing day by day, so new editions are mandated. But based on this, because present edition is 2022, we cannot say that Davidson edited this first time in 2022. In the same way, Parson edited this, wrote this text in the year 2019. Because Davidson and Parson were passed before this year. We cannot say that they first wrote in 2019 or 2022. This we can easily understand, this point. So now coming to Surya Siddhanta, in the same way, astronomy, regular checking of the planetary positions. That is why Drigganita. Here in India, Drigganita, that is an observatory astronomy. Observation based on that, we have to define planetary positions. And corrections are essential. In India, year by year, there will be correction. At least every 100 years, there will be correction. Only after 500 AD, because 1000 AD, because of this internal turmoil, the correction has not happened. So astronomical texts also have to be re-edited, like medical texts. Because here new discoveries are there, advancement are there. Here, the planetary positions have to be regularly checked and corrections are to be made. So this does not mean the date of the text is that of the last edited version, like Davidson at 2022 or ophthalmology at 2019. So the last edited version date cannot be fixed as the date of the text. Definitely the text date is the first edition, that is 1952 or 1907. In the same way, Surya Siddhanta also re-edited every 500 or 1000 years because of the planetary positions are changing. See, planetary position cannot be say that it is on an average velocity. Some erratic behavior also will be there, that I will discuss in the end part. So Surya Siddhanta and any astronomical text should be re-edited for correcting. That doesn't mean the last edited version is the date of the text. The date of the text is given in that text itself, that is at the end of Krita Yuga. So we should take that is the date of Surya Siddhanta, not the last edited date. That we should understand. And there is another famous misconception that Surya Siddhanta mentioned the planetary positions at the beginning of Kali Yuga. Many scholars will mention. But we have already seen that Surya Siddhanta was narrated to Mayasura at the tag end of Kali Yuga. It stops detailing planetary positions at the end of Krita Yuga itself. First Adhyaya 57 sloka mentioned Asmin Krita Yukasya Ante. Krita Yukasya, 6th Vibhakti of Krita Yuga, Ante at the end of Krita Yuga of this Krita Yuga. Asmin. Sarve Madhya Gada Grahaha. Sarve Grahaha, all Graha. Madhya Gada, that is mean velocity, mean position. Vinatu Pada Mandochan, that is except this Rahu and Ketu and Apsis, nodes, and also the apsis of the moon and sun, other graha are at Mesadau. Tulyatam, exactly. Mesa, that is at the beginning of the Aries zodiac sign, Mesa zodiac sign. At the end of Krita Yuga only it mentioned. There is no word here Kali Yuga. Surya Siddhanta mentioned the planetary positions at the end of Krita Yuga only. If you read Surya Siddhanta, there is not even a single word Kali or Kali Yuga in the first 3 Adhyaya which detail planetary positions at all. So it is an entirely wrong misconceptions. Surya Siddhanta didn't give the positions of the planets, that is Graha, at the planet and Graha are different, that I will explain later, at the beginning of the Kali Yuga. The another most absurd misconception is Graha and planets are synonyms. No. Grah is a Sanskrit word. From this Graha came. It means to seize, to attract. So any Graha, then all star, planet and satellite will attract, to seize. There is that is gravitational force is there. That's why it attracts another celestial bodies. So a star is a Graha, a planet is a Graha, a satellite is a Graha, because all these things have attracting force, that is gravitational force. What is the terminology modern astronomy used for planet, where it derived? It is a planet is nothing but a non-luminous celestial body that revolves around a luminous star. So definitely Graha, the terminology is different, planet terminology is different. Though both are correct. Planet is definitely non-luminous celestial body that revolves around a luminous star. Graha also, it is a celestial body that attracts or seizes other celestial, try to seize other celestial body. So both terminology is correct, but in copying what Aditya ji told in the first thing, that in following the Western people, in that hastiness, our people, our own people, Indian people, the scholars, translated wherever Graha is there, they into planet. And they told Indian astronomers, they don't know that sun is a satellite and moon is, sun is a star and moon is a satellite. So they don't know the basic astronomy at all. Like that, they blame. But it is their mistake, copying, translating Graha into planets. So both are not synonyms, and we should not do that mistake again. That is my humble request. And Aryabhata. It is Aryabhata, not Aryabhata. Bhatta means a scholar or a great person, or Bhada means a hired soldier or servant or slave. We know Aryabhata was a great astronomer and mathematician, a great scholar. So Aryabhata is the correct thing. Where are the evidence for that? Now, any astronomical text, if you refer, or any modern analytical theory or any paper, article, they will mention only Aryabhata. But Henry Thomas Coolbrith in 1817, and also W. Brennett in his Hindu Astronomy, Fitz Edward Hall in 1860, and the Committee of Publications in this Journal of American Oriental Society in this volume 6, published in JSTOR, and also Dr. H. Kern on some fragments of Aryabhata. This is Royal Asiatic Society, volume 20. So all these 5 texts mention the name of Aryabhata as Aryabhata only. You can verify. So in 1817 and before 1860, they mentioned, even the Western scholars mentioned his name as Aryabhata only. Then when the change came, see, this is a book, Pancha Siddhantika. Panchasiddhantika is composed by Varahimikara, the best famous astronomer of India. And it was the G. Debot and Sudhagar Divivedi gave the original Sanskrit sloka and also English translation and explanation. Both edited by G. Debot and Sudhagar Divivedi and published Saukamba Sanskrit series. So all three I thank wholeheartedly for using this. In the preface of this book, what G. Debot mentioned, the right-hand column of the text, that is this right-hand column, amended text, that is altered text. The left-hand column is the better of the two manuscripts. So manuscript mentioned like this, and what G. Debot and Sudhagar Divivedi altered, amended, mentioned here. This is the original sloka in manuscript. What altered sloka by these two scholars, they are given on the right-hand column. In the page, this page, if you see this sloka, here Aryabhata is name is mentioned with 2T, Aryabhata, in Devanagari script. Here it is mentioned Aryabhata. When it is mentioned, altered in 1888. So before that, if you read any text, 1863, 1860, 1870, 1860, it is mentioned as Aryabhata. So they wantedly altered Aryabhata into Aryabhata so that to defamous Aryabhata. That is the thing. So I thank again G. Debot and Sudhagar Divivedi and Chaukamba publisher to use this. We can buy this book. You can verify yourself. The book is available. You see Aryabhata, Aryabhata, Aryabhata. The worst thing. And the date of Aryabhata. In the same way, date of, not only the name, even the date is altered. Aryabhattiyam of Aryabhata, 3rd Adhyaya, 10th sloka, there are two readings. Shashtyabdanam Shadbiryata Vyatitaha Trayatsa Yuhapadaha. That means Shashti, 60, Shadbihi, 6 by 6, 360 Kali Yuga. So it comes as 2741 BCE. But another reading is Shashtyabdanam Shashtiryata Vyatitaha Trayatsa Yuhapadaha. Only Sadbihi is altered into Shashtihi. This is 3rd Vibhakti, this is Prathama Vibhakti. If you analyze grammatically, it should be 3rd Vibhakti only here, not Prathama Vibhakti, 1st Vibhakti. So based on that itself, we can remove this, make this sloka null and void. But what is the meaning? 60 into 60, 3600 Kali Yuga. That is 499 Kamanara. The difference is 3240 years. So date of Aryabhata is pushed forward by 3240 years, but just by changing Sadbihi into Shatti. So I consulted a great Sanskrit scholar. By seeing within this two sloka, within 30 seconds, he told that Sadbihi is correct. And he actually taught me how to derive the correctness of this Sadbihi. I wholeheartedly thank my guru. He is from Thiruvananthapuram. So grammatically, based on internal evidence in Aryabhattiyam, Mahabharata Siddhanta, writings of Varahamikara, Bhaskara, Brahmagupta, Bhaskaracharya, Kalidasa, and Henry Thomas Coolbrooke, and the epoch used by Aryabhatta. And I have to thank J.Q. Jacobs and the formula, the scholars used that formula, because he mentioned the ratio of the revolution of the earth and that of moon, which shows that Aryabhatta date is before 2000 BCE, 1600 BCE. So you can verify this in this website. So based on all this analysis, I have proved with the guidance of my great guru, I proved that the date 2741 BCE is absolutely correct, in which year Aryabhatta wrote Aryabhattiyam and Mahabharata Siddhanta, and his year of birth is 2764 BCE. Why his date is pushed forward? Because they want to say that all astronomy learned in India were copied from Greek, that is Ptolemy, Hipparchus, that is 1st century BC, 1st century AD. So we have to put all the dates of astronomers of India after 1st century AD. That is the motive of that alteration. So anybody want to read, you can download my book, Aryabhata's date and analytical study, free download from my website. It is available. I have analyzed it fully. Then zero was invented by Aryabhata. That is another misconception. But in our Sattology itself, I have told that Rigveda mantra, it mentioned the numbers 12, 360, 720, Dwadasa Pradaya Chakramekam, Trini Nabhyani Kavadachikada, Trisada Sankava Shashti, that mantra I told. So it mentioned the number 12, 360, 720, all zero are here. Yajurveda, we will be astonished. In 17th Suktam, 17th, second mantra, geometric progression of numbers. That is 1 to 10 to the power of 12. Eka, Dasa, Sada, Sakasra, like that, up to Parardha. Parardha is 1 trillion. That is 10 to the power of 12. In Yajurveda period itself, Indians know this much high number. See how these numbers are mentioned like this. So we know zero even at the Vedic period itself. That is when Veda was revealed by rishis to the world. Veda is Anadi, but it was revealed during Vedic period. And Yajurveda 14th Suktam 28 to 31st mantra and 18th Sukta 24th mantra, word number 1, 3, 5 like that up to 33. And Yajurveda again in this mantra reveals multiplications of number 4 from 4 up to 48. So zero was used in India even during the period when Veda were revealed in the remotest antiquity itself. So zero was there even before the date of Aryabhata. This is the mantra, Dwadasa Pradaya Chakram, Trisada Shashtihi. And this is another mantra, Dwadasaram, Sapta Sadani Vimsadi. So 720. But it doesn't mean that Aryabhata is not an ordinary person. He is a great astronomer and mathematician. But I want to stress that zero was there in India before Aryabhata itself. That is the thing I want to mention. Because Aryabhata is the ancient person who gave the value of pi 31416. That is asana. He used the word asana. That means it is not absolute. It is nearer to absolute. That is approximate value. That also he mentioned. And in that, how he derived 62,832 divided by 20,000. That is, if the unit of diameter is 20,000, the circumference will be this. So he revealed exactly the pi is nothing but the ratio between the circumference and diameter of a circle. An excellent revelation. This sloka. So Aryabhata mentioned the earth is rotating on its own axis, and the earth revolution with the time measurements of pronouncing one long vowel and the respiration of human beings, that I dealt in our Sattology previously. And he explained scientifically the cause of solar and lunar eclipses. Scientific. And he gave the value of r sin theta from 225 minutes of r to 90 degrees. This sin theta I will explain later, but these are all the great contribution of Aryabhata. So what I want to stress is zero was there even before Aryabhata himself. And this misconception, this is the worst misconception, which caused much damage and harmful consequences on the history and chronology of India. What is that? Chandragupta Maurya was contemporary to Alexander. I have dealt clearly. William Jones is the proposed this assumption. Initially, when at the period of William Jones, it was only an assumption. Colonial Francis Wilbord propagated it. Horace Hayman Wilson endorsed it. And finally, it was sealed as a historical fact by Frederick Max Muller with the guidance of Thomas Babington Macaulay. So all these 5 persons played the major role in seeding this most unjustifiable falsehood in the history and chronology of India. So just mere an assumption was changed into a historical fact to fulfill their damaging and destructive motive on India. It is all based on just a single word, Sandrocotus, in the text of Megasthenes, which Megasthenes himself was mentioned as a liar by Strabo and Pliny, the Greek and Romanian writers of 2000 years before present. And they themselves, Strabo and Pliny, mentioned this text of Megasthenes is itself conflicting and incredible and not acceptable, not reliable. So that much worst is the Megasthenes himself and Megasthenes text. He was mentioned as a liar. Aditya ji and myself cannot tell, but Strabon Pliny told in the ancient past itself. So just a word in this unreliable Megasthenes text, that assumption made into historical fact with a damaging and destructive motive on India by these 5 people. But Prana, what it says, Srimad Bhagavatam, Vishnu Prana, Matsya Prana, Brahmanda Prana, Vayu Prana, and Kaliyuga Raja Vriddhanda, they conclusively mentioned that Chandragupta Maurya ruled Magadha kingdom 1600 years after Mahabharata. That is, from Pariksha, 1500 years is the Mahabhatma Nanda coronation, and Nanda ruled 100 years, so 1600 years after that, Chandragupta Maurya became king. That is around 1538 BCE, not at the period of Alexander, that is 321 BCE. So they pushed forward Chandragupta Maurya just by a mere assumption and a word in an unreliable and text and unreliable person, Megasthenes, and his text by 1213 years. I have already explained in my lecture in our Sattology, that is distortion and misconception in Indian history, chronology, first and second part. What is the reliability of the text and how these 5 people propagated and sealed it. Then the unscientific and selfish and unscholarly misconception is the Aryan invasion theory. What is the motive of this propaganda persons of this theory? They mentioned India is no man's land. Because first Aryan came, after that some people came, after that some people came, finally English came. So all are outsiders. So it is nobody's land, no man's land. So English got equal right on Indian land. Why they told? Because they want to rule, loot, and convert India forever. They don't want to go out of India because they told that we are also equal right. We also have equal rights. And they mentioned happy reunion of cousins. Because English told that they came from Central Asia, they are also Aryans. And these Indian people, they came also from Central Asia, they are also Aryans. So we are both our cousins. After all, your brother only ruling you. That word they express. This is to suppress freedom movements in India. And race theory, Aryan race. Why? To justify and vindicate the loot of India. And the greedy, luxurious life got out of the worst sufferings of million people they got. So to justify it, to vindicate, they formed the race theory. That's why they claim Aryan as a race. And identity crisis of Europeans. Because after 17th century, the Europeans invaded many continents and they ruled most of the world. So they become superior people. So they want to prove that their ancestry also superior. So there is an identity crisis for them because their ancestral history is not that much high. So they want something from other land. So they took Aryan from India and they mentioned that they are Aryan race. So it is an inner urge that they came from a highly civilized ancestry so that they can got the right to rule the entire earth and slavery enforced on millions of people. Again, their selfish motive only and identity crisis made them to propagate this Aryan invasion theory, Aryan race theory. But the analysis of literature, archaeology, Saraswati River, horse, iron, details of war, Vedic wars, and genetic studies proved that Aryan invasion theory is a wrong, implausible, and baseless conjecture. There is not even a single evidence to prove it, but a lot of evidence against it. So they got an evil and malevolent motive, I explained. Based on that, they propagated their theory without even a single evidence, but all the evidence are against this theory. I explained in our Sattology thing, distortions and misconceptions in Indian history and chronology. And does Yavana mean Greek? Another thing. Purana, especially Sri Vishnu, Agni Purana, and many Puranas, Srimad Bhagavatam, Harivamsa, all mention details about Yavana. Vishnu Purana in second section, third Adhyaya from 1 to 9 sloka. Yavana lived on the western part of Bharat. In the Vishnu Purana, they mentioned that King Kaikeya, Ikshvaku dynasty, that is much ancient to Sri Rama, they defeated Yavana. So Yavana were there in India before Sri Rama himself. They are the outcasted Kshatriyas of Indian origin. And Kala Yavana is from the Yavana race. He fought with Sri Krishna. So from Mahabharata period also Yavana were there. And Yavana are Indian people. What are the proof? Matsya Purana and Mahabharata of Mahabharata of Veda Vyasa himself, in this sloka, Turvasa is Yavana's forefather. They came from Turvasa's ancestry. Turvasa is an ancient Bharatian citizen. So Yavana are ancient Indian citizens. Srimad Ramayanam and Mahabharata mentioned that Yavana born out of holy cow Nandini to defeat the army of Vishwamitra, the Kausika Raja. And Mahabharatam, Pandu and Arjuna fought with Yavana. And Yavana, king of Yavana, participated in the Swayamvara of Draupadi. Yavana and Krita are Kshatriya. Mahabharata clearly mentioned they are Kshatriya. And Jayatrada, one of the wife or daughter of Kamboja and Yavana. Yavana king's daughter was married by Jayatrada, the king of Sindhu. And Mahabharatam, all these things mentioned that evidence of the location of Yavana kingdom is northwestern part of India, that is within India. And location of Yavana residents, all Purana mentioned on the western part of India. Srimad Ramayana, Silappatikaram and Mahabharata, it mentioned not only northern area, Silappatikaram and Mahabharata Sabha Parva mentioned that Yavana were lived in central part of India also. This is proved by inscription evidence of Girnar, Nagarjuna and Nasik inscriptions. That is, they mentioned that Yavana were around Nasik, that central and India, on the banks of river Krishna and Girnar and Gujarat. Not only on the northwestern part, even interior part of India also, Yavana lived in the ancient part. And all these texts mentioned then Yavana are Kshatriya of Indian origin. So it refutes all the conjectures that Yavana are Greek. Because of the phonetic similarity, it is without any base or any sense. It is because of ulterior selfish motive. Again, my lecture in Sattology, please refer in third part of Distortions and Misconceptions in Indian History and Chronology. I explained all these things. And most of the Indians, now it is reduced. But previously when I was young, many of my professors and lecturers will tell, the Greek is the original thing. If you want to read anything original, you go and read Greek text. That was the thing taught to me in my school days. So all the science and technology in India were borrowed from Greek. Is it true? But the evidence prove other way. See, medical terminology in anatomy, even modern medical textbooks, they called dental. Dental means teeth. Danta become dental. Hridaya. Hru means to take back. Da means to give. Aya means to circulate. So heart function is to take back the blood from the body, to give blood to the body, and to make the blood to circulate within the body because of the pumping pressure. That's why it is named as Hridaya in Sanskrit. It only becomes heart and cardiac. Shiro Brahma is the main part of the brain. That it is named in medical anatomy as cerebrum. Shira means topmost. Brahma, that is the highest place. Shiro Brahma. Shiro Vilama. Shiro is topmost. Viloma is behind. See the hind brain, cerebellum. Cerebellum is situated on the back part of the brain. So that is why it is named as Shiro Viloma. That becomes cerebellum. So this medical terminology itself shows that India only gave all this terminology to the world. And I will explain smallpox vaccination and rhinoplasty. A very interesting narrative. See this picture. The plastic surgery of the nose is known as rhinoplasty. The Gentleman's Magazine and Historical Chronicle, published from London in the year 1794, October. Volume 64, October. I missed October here. Part 2 in these pages, October 1794. This is the picture they found. Because he is Kawaji, a car driver in British Army. He was captured as a prisoner by Tipu Sultan in the Third Anglo-Mysore War, and his nose was cut in the jail. He escaped from the jail, and in the Pune, after 2 years, some Kumkara Vaidya in a village in Pune, he took a graft from here, skin graft, and turned down, because this is pedicle, turned down this pedicle. He gave pedicle, super blood supply, and turned down here to make it a wonderful news. This was watched by Dr. Thomas Crusoe and Dr. James Trendley, the British medical officers of Bombay Presidency. And they wrote it to Gentleman's Magazine with figures, illustration. And it was appeared here. So Dr. J.C. Carpew in 1814 first followed this surgery successfully in London, followed by Dr. Grafe of Germany. So they call it is Indian plastic surgery in England and Europe. So where it is mentioned, this procedure, Susrita Samkhya, Sutrasthana, 16th Adhyaya, 27th to 31st sloka. It mentioned this procedure. Rhinoplasty was donated to World Plastic Surgery by India. And this magazine mentioned, Gentleman's Magazine, what it mentioned, this operation is not uncommon in India and has been practiced from time immemorial. So we can totally disprove India got technology from Greek. And smallpox inoculation. This is Tarambal, the great scholar's book, India's Science and Technology in 18th century. I thank him. Dr. John Jeponia Halwell was an FRS doctor from England, Ireland. He came to India in 1780 and he started practicing in Calcutta from 1782. And he was a temporary governor of East India Company around 1760 and all, when Robert Clive went to India before Warren Hastings cut. So he returned to London in 1767 and gave a remarkable lecture at Royal Society. You can download that whole lecture from Internet archives by typing this. And Dharambal's book, and also it is Gutenberg, from that also it is downloadable. We can read fully. What he mentioned, this also, inoculation times in 1719, it has come. What he mentioned, it has an uniform success from the remotest known time in Hindustan. He used the term Hindustan to denote India, and has the sanction of remotest antiquity. Antiquity, no. Remote, no. Superlative degree, remotest antiquity. So from that time onwards, smallpox vaccination was there. It was revealed to Royal Society of London in the year 1767, much 29 years before it was said that Edward Jenner invented smallpox vaccination in 1796. 29 years before that. And what is the success rate? He mentioned, we have to enjoy that lines. It is next to a miracle to hear that 1 in a million fails of receiving the infection, and one of that miscarries under it. So it is 100% protective and 100% safety profile. And what method they used? 100% scientific method, because they obtained the vaccine from the previous era inoculated pustules. Never inoculate the fresh matter. That is live attenuated or dead virus only they inoculated. 100% scientific method. From time immemorial or remotest antiquity, that practice was there in India, and it was copied by Europe, and whole world owe a lot to India. So in mathematics, astronomy and time calculation, I have explained 12 zodiac sign, 12 months, 7 days of a week, 24 hours a day, sine, cos, tan, theta, trigonometric calculation, geometry and celestial and earth coordinates, longitude and latitude, navigation, differential calculus, many mathematical theorems, including Bodhana theorem, and decimal number 1 to 10. We are telling it is an Arabic number, but it is from India only it came to Arabia, and from Arab it went to Europe. So the Europe people called it Arabic numbers. And the excellent method, the place value method, that is geometrical progression I told. Each number caught not only the absolute value, but place value also. If you put 4 in 10th place, it becomes 40. In 100 place, it becomes 400. So it has each number has a place value and also absolute value. That concept is an excellent invention in India, and India gave to the world. The concept of zero and infinity. So this is the why I told the sin theta, cos theta, it all came from the bow and arrow and string. See, this is a bow, this is arrow, this is the string. If you pull the string to push the arrow forward, then it becomes like this. So this is sin theta, this is cos theta, this is Utkaramajara r into 1 minus cos theta, all tan theta. So from this figure, if you compare this figure, you can understand. So all these sin theta, cos theta, tan theta calculations were is a gift to the world by India. This is the thing. This is sin theta, this is cos theta. So Takshashila University, already in the first beginning itself, Aditya Ji told that it was founded by Sri Bharata, the brother of Rama, and existed during Mahabharata period. This Takshashila University is much before Alexander of Macedonia's arrival at Western India. There are many universities in India, that is Kanchipuram in South India. So in these universities, students of various countries from para places learn arts and science. So India taught them. Hence, it is absolutely wrong to say that India borrowed most of the scientific knowledge and technology from Greek. Instead, on the contrary, India contributed much to the world in arts and science and technology. This we can take another one broad session in Sattology itself. And misconceptions about inscription, this is the last part. See, most of the epigraphic scholars, they frequently mention this character of the letters and script and style of it belongs to 17th or 18th century, but the date is mentioned in 10th century. So we cannot accept the date of 10th century. That is the thing they told. But if the date is mentioned or the king's name is mentioned, whose king's period we will know, then the character of the letters and writing style and the language flow becomes secondary. Because why I am telling? Because all the stone and copper plate inscriptions were re-inscribed at a later period of time in the language and characters of later period for various reasons. What are the reasons? The building in which the inscription become destroyed, become collapsed, depleted, and a new building has to be reconstructed. At the time, the inscription has to re-inscribe on the present day letters, like language style. Even stone building has its own lifetime. When there is a foreign aggression, as in India, and continuous war and poor economic condition, nobody will maintain that building except their own house. Even for that, they are struggling. So it will collapse, it deplete. When they want to reconstruct the temple, first initially the temple would have a brick structure, they want to construct into stone structure. So they want to some alteration. So they re-inscribe the inscription. When the stone on which inscribed got damaged or some cracks appeared, and when a later king want to reaffirm the grant given by the previous king, he re-inscribed that. So these are all the reasons. Evidence for re-engraving I can show. This is Kutralam Sri Kutraleswara temple, re-inscription by King Rajaraja Sola, 2 inscriptions. So initial inscription was Vatteluthu, that is round letters of Tamil. So he want to alter into the present day Tamil letters. Vattamagayal Tamilaga Padi Eduthu Kalvittuga. Like that he told. So because it is a round letters of Tamil, you take a copy and the present inscription will be in the present day letters. Like that he mentioned here. In this Tirumala, Tirupati Balaji temple, you see here, கல்வெட்டு விற்பதென்று, புறவாயிலே கல்வெட்டு விற்பதென்று, கல்வெட்டு படியெடுத்து. That is, we have to copy the previous inscription and inscribe new, like that. In the same way, Tirukkodikavar, it is near Kumbakonam, a famous Ishvara temple. There are 22 inscriptions were re-engraved, because initially the temple was built by Pallava kings in brick structure. Later on, Uttama Sola, the uncle of Rajaraja Sola, he became the king, and his mother was Chembian Mahadevi. That Maharani want to reconstruct the temple, alter the temple from brick structure to stone structure. There are previously 22 inscriptions. So what that Maharani did, he asked the person to re-inscribe all the 22 in a new inscription. That is the thing. See, இதுவும் ஒரு பழங்கல்வெட்டுப்படி. So it is also an old inscription based on that. Like that, you see, this is the inscription. In that, in near Trichy, there is Adi Moola Perumal, that is Adi Moola Vishnu temple. See, you can see Padi Eduthu in Tamil. Padi Eduthu, Padi Eduthu. It is an inscription of King Rajaraja Sola and Kulothunga, where re-inscribed by later King Kulothunga III. So these are all the numbers. You see, you can refer all this. I have given all the texts where it can be found. So all these things there are evidence for re-inscription. This is Pudukkottai district. You can see Munbu Kalvettu Padi, previous inscription, as per previous inscription, King Rajendra Sola's inscription. And Tirukurungudi, it's a famous Vishnu temple in Tirunelveli district. Everybody should visit the temple. And this temple, Jakadipadi, there is a Munpadu Pudugai Kalvettu Padi, Kalvettanapadi. So Padi Eduthu in the Sri Vimanam. So based on the previous inscription copy, we are re-inscribing that. So even Western scholars accepted that. Robert Sewell, who collected a lot of copper plate inscriptions in southern India, in his book in this, he mentioned there are 13 copper plate inscriptions that are dated in 4109 Kali Yuga and Salivagana Saga 1011, during the period of Kulothunga Chola I. It was found in the collectorate of Vellore and now deposited in Madras Museum. But what is this thing? Paleographically, it doesn't match 1089. The writing style and letters and the characters doesn't match that ancient period. And also there is a seal, maybe Persian seal, on the top of the copper plate. In 1089, there is no Persian people invaded India. So definitely it shows a wrong thing. But what Robert Sewell stated regarding the authenticity of these 13 copper plate inscriptions, Robert Sewell clearly stated these 13 copper plates form a series of copies of old authentic documents. It is a copies. Because the present ruler want to endorse it and confirm it, he put his seal on the top. That is the ruling and statement given by Robert Sewell. So it definitely shows that copper plates and inscriptions stone inscriptions are re-inscribed. So based on that date or the king's name, that gives the prime importance to decide the date of that inscription, not the character or writing style or language flow. That we should understand. See, for example, Mahabharata text, if you want to go to any library and copy a manuscript, it will be not in Brahmi script or ancient script in which Vedavyasa or Sri Ganapati wrote. It will be in Devanagari Sanskrit script. So based on that, we can say that Vedavyasa lived some 1500 years before only, and Ganapati wrote in 1500 years. Because the script is Devanagari, not the ancient script. Like that, in Sangam Tamil texts are including Tolkappiyam Tirukkural, the present day Tamil. Even if you go to manuscript, family manuscript, it will be in present day Tamil, which is old just 300 years. Based on that script and language flow, if you tell that Thiruvalluvar and Tolkapir lived just 300 years before, we cannot accept. It is not science. So that is the thing. The date of the inscription are based on characters and letters and style of language alone, omitting the date or the name of rulers and others mentioned in the inscription is absolutely absurd thing and wrong thing. See, this is the inscription of Samudragupta in late Brahmi script. I thank Agarwala and Books Asia for using this. So it is not in Devanagari. But modern text mentioned it is in Devanagari. So we cannot say that Samudragupta lived just 500 or 600 years before. In that way, we cannot accept. And another thing is, the most important misconception on inscription is what they commented on my collecting of 436 inscriptions. It is all after 500 BCE. Just 1500 years only. 1500 is very ancient period. Europe and other things, they don't know what happened 1500 years before. But they are omitting this. So I have mentioned 436 inscriptions, but unfortunately all are after 500 CE only. So this made me to analyze. So I have to thank for the comment, and I worked more. And what I have found at it is now I have found more than 325 inscriptions, that is crossing 750 inscriptions. Why I can find only 1500 years? I found only more than 10 only. Why the number of inscriptions are less before 1500 years? Because lifetime of any stone building, brick building is less. Stone building itself have maximum of 1500 to 2000 years. All the inscriptions, most of the inscriptions are inscribed on the temples. So would God have collapsed. And at the time of war, there is nobody to reinscribe it. Most of the ancient buildings were destroyed by allied forces, especially in northern India and war. And for the past 1000 years, India was on continuous wars and other problems. So there is no time to rebuild and reinscribe these damaged inscriptions. That's why we can find only inscriptions after 1500. Even then, I have found out more than 10 inscriptions that were dated in 1500 years before present. And another evidence is there is date, Kali Yuga date mentioned 3000 years before, 1500 BC itself. That is, we can read this, a journey from Madras through countries of Mysore, Kannada and Malabar. A famous doctor, British doctor, Dr. Francis Buchman, in his text he mentioned various dates that were mentioned in the various manuscripts, that is Kali Yuga 1036, that is more than 3000 years before. Hence, argument based on the absence of Kali Yuga inscriptions, because I have found out more inscriptions, more manuscripts that were dated, the Kali Yuga date 1500 years before present. That is before 500 BC. So that is become null and void. So it is a famous inscription, Kali 2000. I have taken the photocopy of that inscription from a temple in Andhra. At the 107th line of the inscription mentioned Divi Sahasra, that is Divi Sahasra 2000, Kalau Prapte, when Kali Yuga 2000 years completed. This is the inscription, photocopy. This is the Ishvara temple. This is the inscription. So I have more evidence, but only I want to, after publishing my book, I want to show all the evidence. But at present, I will satisfy with this. Then coming to the last part, why I say inscriptions are the absolute, most authenticated and very precise evidence for deriving chronology and dates of events when compared with other fields of science. See, archaeology, it can give only range to 300, 400 years. Even carbon dating, thermoluminescence technology, inundation and bathymetric technique in marine archaeology can give only a range. And there are at least a minimum error margins also there. So we cannot give dates precisely exactly. Astronomy, the planets and satellites revolve in elliptical circles, not in linear progress. Hence, a particular set of combined astronomical events will repeat every 500 to 2000 years, depending on permutation and combination. And there is already, I have mentioned, there is an erratic behavior, erratic velocity of the planets and satellites. So in Vedavyasa and Mahabharata itself told that in the previous fortnight before the Mahabharata, the moon velocity increased much. So instead of covering that 180 in 15 days, it covered within 13 days. So he told Amavasya happened on 13th day. So there is an erratic behavior of moon. Like that, erratic behavior of other graha also there. And this erratic behavior will not repeat at regular intervals. It occurs haphazardly and irregular interval. So we cannot judge using any astronomical software where the average velocity is multiplied. So that also give a major problem in fixing a date through astronomy alone. It can be corroborate with other fields of science. And genetic study and geology, already I mentioned. Literature, because literature all in paper manuscripts or palm leaf manuscripts, repeated copying of manuscripts may be there, will be there, then human error will be there. Copier cannot understand, so what he understood he would have wrote wrongly. And during colonial rule, there is interpolation, omission, incorrect understanding, and bending of facts are there. But anyhow, if you compare various multiple manuscripts and multiple texts, multiple Purana, we can reduce this error. But inscriptions, they are on the stones in temples and public places. So every public can visit and verify the fact, check the fact. Nobody can lie on inscription. Nothing untruth can be inscribed. It cannot be interpolated or omitted, altered at a later period. It is a simple and straightforward thing. It is an obvious thing. On your eyes, you can visualize. And the inscription is not lengthy, like text. It is precisely give the date. How precise? See, I have already explained in our Sattology. There is an Merkara inscription in Karnataka. There are two inscriptions that mention the number of days elapsed in Kali Yuga for two consequent happenings of the same event. That is the beginning of the construction of the temple and completion of the temple. Two events, they give Kali Yuga date. So inscriptions are accurate even up to the day itself, whereas other fields are not accurate even for a year. That we have to understand. So accurate to date, even between two dates, how many years, how many months, how many days elapsed. That also mentioned. In many inscriptions, I have found more than 10 inscriptions that were mentioned Kali Yuga date. So it can be verified in my lecture in Sattology, Kali Yuga inscription. So I have to thank repeatedly Aditya ji for giving me such an excellent opportunity. So without him, it is not possible for to spread this knowledge. So that much precise and exact results can be obtained from inscription. So further, the inscription precisely exactly reveal the number of years between two important historical events. That is any regnal period between two kings or two dynasties, any other historical event. For example, the number of years elapsed between Kali Yuga beginning to the Vikrama Samvat first year, inscription clearly, all thousands of inscriptions mention 3044 years. And from Salivagana Saga, it is 3179 years. We know Vikrama Samvat began in 57 BCE and Salivagana Saga began in 78 BCE, 78 Common Era. So this shows 3044 plus 57 because it is in both in BCE. It is one in Common Era, so we have to subtract 3179 by 78. So both give exact figure 3101. And all the 750 inscriptions prove this here. So thus Kali Yuga began in 3101 BCE and just 3044 years before Vikrama Samvat, 3179 years before Salivagana Saga. And Mahabharata war was fought just 36 plus years before Kali Yuga. So the date of Mahabharata may be, or we can solidly tell it is 3137 total, or at the maximum 36 plus years, so 3145 BCE. not less than 3137 or not more than this 3145. That is the conclusion we got from inscriptions. So now I analyzed the text of Mahabharata, Surya Siddhanta, date of Mahabharata, Aryabhata, Chandragupta Maurya, Aryan invasion, Yavana, and Greek influence, which is wrong concoction and misconceptions verbed around inscriptions. How Aryan invasion theory is entirely wrong. All this and the advantage of inscription in fixing chronology I have dealt. I thank Aditya ji and also the volunteers of Sattology and the eminent professors, scholars, and students of various universities of United States of America for patiently listening me. Nandi, Dhanyavadaga, thank you.
Very interesting. And I opened up the Bhagavad Puran and other references from Vedas on the
Hmm.
sun's movement
Hmm.
because very few researches have been done.
Hmm.
And people need to know because most of the times people do not understand that the Vedic cosmology is very different than the cosmology of the West or even the today's cosmology being taught in the universities. Today's
Hmm.
cosmology being taught in the universities is a Western model.
Hmm.
And but the irony is that we calculate time from an Indian model, Vedic model,
Hmm.
but we teach Western model. Okay, so
Paradoxical.
all the students, it's a big paradox. It's like a completely opposite of everything. We want to organize Ram Navami based on Vedic model. We want to organize Krishna Janmashtami based on Vedic model, but on the position of stars, we want to study the Western model. So there is no relationship between the two, and the Western model is keeps changing. Like today, a new scientist comes with a new theory. Tomorrow, another theory. Third, a new theory, and the fourth day they go back to the first theory. So in a week, they'll have seven theories, and everyone will be done by a PhD. So that's why when people say, I want to give you a PhD, and I said, no, but thank you. I don't need your PhD because I have to, like, uh, it's a living in two worlds. Like even for Persians, they follow the Hindu calendar. Iranian, they follow the
Yes.
Hindu calendar because when they celebrate Navroz, is the same day of Navdurga in India. Same time. Exactly the same time, exactly the same. We are measuring everything by the moon's position, and the moon's position is a Vedic calendar. It's not a Arabic calendar. Arabians were busy with camels. How will they ever understand anything about science and technology? Even today, they don't understand. They hire contractors from all over the world. So the point is, we are teaching our children Western model, and we are following an Indian model. So I mean, I don't see whether you call it an intelligence step or anything. So just one, I'll read one shloka, and which will tell you many things about even the Gayatri mantra also. Anda madhyagata suryo dyava bhumyor danantaram suryanda gol yor madhye kotya syu pancha vinchati. Now here, whenever the sphere is mentioned in Sanskrit, it's called anda.
Hmm.
Like Brahmanda means Brahma Tattva in an and is Brahmanda. So like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also, he says, Mahadhyoni Raham Brahma. He says, I impregnate this and Mahan, Brahma. So Brahma is also refers to Mahat Tattva. Now, b- basic Sanskrit knowledge, you don't need advanced Sanskrit knowledge also. If you read Devanagari, you can understand this shloka. Anybody can understand. Just you have to bait under Madhyagata. Means very clearly it is saying that the Surya is situated in the center under Madhyagata, center of the Brahmanda, and Dvav Ubhaya Mayo, between Bhurloka and Bhuvarloka. Now, anyone who knows Gayatri Mantra, Om Bhur Bhuva Swa Tat Savitur Varenyam. Varenyam means is lives there. So Bhagavad Puran and Gayatri Mantra talking the same thing. And the now when people say there is a misconception, misunderstanding, and I'm not a Sanskrit scholar, never claimed to be a Sanskrit scholar. I am a Sanskrit common sensist, you can say. I go by the common sense. What is written over there exactly the word, because Sanskrit is an absolute language. So the You cannot have Shukdev Goswami making a mistake. This spoken by Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit, not making a mistake because he has heard properly from his father, Vyasdev. And he's just repeating what he heard from his father. And his father has repeated the same knowledge in all the Veda because his disciples of Vyasadev wrote all the Veda on the Vyasadev's instructions. So the point is, I'll just say this much: the biggest misconception today we live right now, we follow in our dates Hindu calendar or Vedic calendar, and we teach our children a Western calendar. Now, how will a child will ever know anything about anything? Two
See,
different
one
education
interesting
systems.
thing I want to tell you. One doctor told, you see, it is a foolish thing to follow Tamil myths. We are all international. The world is shrinking. So we have to follow English calendar, January, February, March. I asked, will you fix the marriage of your son in August 1st day? Okay, what is the problem? But it is Ashada month, 16th day. Oh, Ashada month, I cannot fix. Oh, it's nothing. So for fixing marriage and functions, they follow this Hindu calendar. But in office and other thing, to show that they are modern people, they are following English calendar. That is the thing. Ji?
Absolutely. Like the you want to put on tilak based on Achad, but you are actually talking about a Western date, like totally different. The entire conception of cosmology is different in the Vedas, and it is more accurate because words are specific. You know, like the and is different than goal. Goal means can be sphere, can be circle,
Hmm.
can be anything. And is definitely a sphere. So
Yes.
you never say bho anda bhonda. You don't say bhonda because bhonda means anda. Earth is round. But anyway, I don't get into any of those things because I have not done any research. But I'm just going by the words, wordplay, Sanskrit words. Sanskrit sphere is called anda, and goal means can be a plate.
Full sphere.
No,
Anda is
sphere
sphere.
anda is clearly sphere. Goal can be anything. Sphere
Hmm.
can be goal also, and
Hmm.
plate can be goal also. Anything can be goal because it's a round, and the movement is very stationary. Like suppose if I ask you a question that you are sitting on a spaceship which is moving at 19,000 kilometers per hour. Won't you feel
Hmm.
vibrations? You feel vibrations. Even at
Yes.
80 kilometers per hour, you feel vibrations in the car.
Hmm.
Even if the road is the best road, even if you're in a
Yes.
plane, you're in a
Hmm. We
plane
will
at
feel.
300 miles an hour, but still you'll see air pockets. Planes go up and down all the time. And there will be vibrations due to engine, due to many things over there. How can we assume this earth with everybody moving on the earth moving at the speed of 19,000 kilometers? This is just a food for thought. I'm not saying any theory because I've not researched anything. But I'm just trying to say that how the science has been modified to just viewpoints without any evidence, without any proof, and just somebody's opinion. Somebody wakes up in the morning, has a strong cup of coffee, and comes up with a new theory. And just because he has a PhD, I have to listen to him. So it defeats the logic actually. And the Indian Indologists have a great responsibility towards their great rishis, ancestors, whosoever
Yes.
it is.
Absolutely
It is
correct.
a responsibility towards their ancestors, the rishis, munis, Vyasadev, to study their work properly before they and speak on something. And
They speak only Satya.
I know, but we have our responsibility to understand the Satya on our own, so that for our own benefit. But but if you don't do that and just want to be the lazy man's job of just copy pasting from the West and say, "Oh, I'm a great scholar because so and so in the university in California," that guy itself is lost. How can you follow him? That guy itself is not changing every day. Some day he says milk is good, some days he says curd is good, some days he says okay, milk is bad, and we are all jumping up and down. Okay, the guy said milk is good. Now today milk is good. Tomorrow milk is bad. Our milk is bad. It doesn't happen. Vedic theory doesn't change. So thank you so
Hmm.
much. It throws up
Yes.
many questions which you presented. And
Okay.
and for readers, I'll say don't take anything as truth.
Hmm.
Just analyze. This is the information
Yes.
Dr. Raja has done. Food for thought for you. Now analyze it, question it. Otherwise, you won't assimilate it. Like for any other presentation, we say, because that's the position of a Vedic science, because yogi is a scientist, Veda is a science, because everything is axiomatic truth. But for you to understand that, you have to be fully convinced, and therefore the onus of research is on you, not on anybody else. And all these presentations we do at Sattology, it is to rigor your thought process, not to, so that you can be convinced yourself. So with that, I'll end here. Thank you so much, Dr. Raja,
Thank you.
for coming on the
Thank you.
show and presenting it and giving people some platform to build on it. Namaste
Okay.
and thank you.
Namaste. Namaste.
Thank you.